This Leafs prospect showed major talent last night. John Klingberg on the power play line won, and Brandon Bussi put the Boston Bruins organization on notice. We'll get into all this later in the video, but first we just want to say that we're 35 subscribers away from hitting our goal of 1,000 subscribers before the season starts. So if you're one of the 35 people watching that aren't subscribed, go down, hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. But with that out of the way, let's get right into the first topic of the video today, which is Burakovsky is back, and Kraken fans are ecstatic today because the Seattle Kraken activated Andre Burakovsky from the injury reserve. Obviously, he went down last year with that groin injury, missing the playoffs. They were really missing him last year in that run, but he is back now. We don't need to worry about that. And as we take a look at his stats here, he did put up 39 points in 49 games for them last year. And obviously, he was a big part in Colorado winning the Cup the year that they did too. So, Mark, when you get this guy back on your team, I mean, it's just going to be such a great news for Seattle Kraken going into the season. They have one of their main guys back. I think they're going to be a sneaky little powerhouse this year.
Yeah, we've seen them make the playoffs last year, and this Kraken teams, they're slowly getting players. They're developing this core. They're kind of working everything together. And honestly, they have a bright future with everything that's going. You've seen them perform well last year, and this was out a guy with like Burakovsky in your lineup, where you've seen you put up 39 points just playing half the year. This is a massive piece for the Kraken, especially getting them back now. A full healthy season, and the Kraken are definitely pushing for the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. This was a team that I was definitely cheering for last year in the playoffs. Such a fun team to watch. And now that Burakovsky's back, there's going to be a great team to watch this year. I'm definitely going to find myself tuned into some of those games throughout the season. But we're going to get into our next topic of the video here, which is all aboard the Bussi. And if you guys seen this last night, Brandon Bussi, an AHL goalie for the Providence Bruins, came up and played the preseason last night, had a 29 save shutout, and had such a highlight reel save. We're going to show it to you here now. You know, Laugh passes it over, and he just robs him. Mark, I just think this guy just put the Bruins club on notice last night. This guy had such a great game, some good game savers. Unfortunately for him, he's kind of in a tough spot with Ullmark and Swayman there, so I don't think we'll get to see him have much time in the NHL this year, but, I mean, this guy's got a bright future.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. You see Ullmark and Swayman. It really sucks for the guys in the AHL because the Bruins have probably the best duo between goalies. They just have so much talent between Ullmark and a guy like Swayman. We've seen both guys. They flourished last year. They're great complementary pieces to each other. And just overall, they're incredible players. So unless the Bruins go the route of maybe trading a guy like Swayman, I know they have him on the one-year deal. They got him in free agency when he did go to RFA rights. So it's a situation, maybe the Bruins move on from him. They look in the minors to bring a guy up. They do have DiPietro, not Rick DiPietro, even though the Islanders, I'm pretty sure, are still paying him somehow. But they have Michael DiPietro in the minors. They have a guy like Bussi. With Swayman and Ullmark, it's kind of a weird thing for both of them, but it could be the situation if the Bruins are kind of battling for the wild card, they're not going to make the playoffs, or just they feel like they can trust one of these guys between Ullmark or Swayman more. They could definitely move one of these guys, and we'll see a guy like Bussi or DiPietro just come up and take the backup role to whichever guy stays.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was just great from Boston yesterday. You know, these goalies usually get to play a period and a half when they get in, but they seen that this guy was on fire, and they let him go out, get that shutout. I know it's such a big feeling for him. I know he's worked his way up from the coast now in the AHL. I think this guy's going to be a great goaltender at some point in his career. Hopefully he gets a shot. I think, but like you said, their goalie depth is so deep in Boston that there would have to be a few injuries, which we don't wish upon anybody. But you never know what can happen. We might see him this year. I really hope we do because that was such a great performance last night. But we're going to get into our next topic of the video here, which is the case for Alex Steeves. And obviously, Alex Steeves had such a great game last night for the Toronto Maple Leafs. If you were watching it when they faced off against Ottawa in their first game of the preseason. But if you don't know much about Alex Steeves, this guy is a 23-year-old center. playing mostly with the Marlies. Last year, he put up 51 points in 65 games, had 5 points in 7 games in the playoffs. And also, the year before, he put up 46 in 58 games. Mark, I know that after that game, after we started recording last night, you were really hyped on Alex Steeves. I'm just going to give you the floor here.
Yeah, so we seen yesterday it was a line of Nylander in the middle with Domi on the left wing and Steves on the right. And overall, I thought he stuck out just so much to me. We seen a guy, his passing was looking good. He scored an absolute beauty of a goal. He was working his butt off the entire game. And just, he really stuck out in the sense of he wasn't making too many mistakes just at such a young age. He looked like he was playing well. Obviously, this is a game of just a couple lines from each teams and the rest being the AHL. But overall, he impressed me a lot. We've seen him with the Marlies. He can produce down there. And I would not be shocked if we could see him game one against the Montreal Canadiens this season. If this line continues to look well with Nylander, Domi, and Steeves, why not give it a shot in the NHL? What's the worst case? You send him down and you keep another guy, you call someone else up. It's just a rotating thing of just trying to get this bottom six to work. If you can get a really productive third line out of guys like this, where you could throw it out against another team's third line where they might not be as offensively gifted, you can really trap people in zones. You can score so much. And overall, I think Steeves is a guy that we could definitely see in the bottom six. It's going to be a bit of him and Robertson, Bobby McMahon when he's cleared to play. These guys are really battling for this last spot. But overall, just this one game and just seeing his development with the Marlies, he looks incredible to me.
Yeah, definitely. He looks like such a solid player. It'd be nice to see him get a shot. I mean, that goal last night was just class. He just took it in tight to his skates, ripped it. It was a great shot. I think this guy has the talent to play in the NHL. I think if we see him play well consistently over these next couple preseason games, I think he'll make the case for himself to make this opening night roster for sure.
Yeah, that's the big thing. It's the preseason's just figuring out what works, who looks good where. We know the main lines. We have Matthews, Marner is going to be together. Tavares is going to be the second line center. We most likely will see Nylander back up on the second line. But they're kind of making this case where Domi looks so well with Nylander. They complement each other so well. You have a goal scorer in Nylander who can also pass incredibly. Domi looks incredible out there. Is 13 seconds in, he took a rough in. He's just a feisty guy, incredible passer. And a guy like Steeves who can show he can score. If you put all this talent together, the defense might not totally be there. So maybe you look at a guy like David Kampf in the middle here and move Nylander back up. But I think Steeves looks great. I wouldn't want to see him just kind of buried on that fourth line. They might bring a bit more offense if you put him a guy down like this down here. So overall, I think he does make it. I'm excited to see his play. And like I said, it's just a battle between Robertson, Steeves, and McMahon at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what unfolds over these next couple of days because these are the three guys that are kind of on our radar to be watching because I think either one of these guys can make the team. And just the game that Steeves had last night, he's leading right now. He's leading right now. We'll have to see what happens. I'm sure you're going to hear about it over the next couple days from us. But we're going to get into our next topic here, which is Klingberg on Powerplay Unit 1. And yes, the Leafs are in action tonight again against Ottawa Senators. And tonight, the big dogs are in. Matthews, Marner, all these guys. But the thing to look at here is John Klingberg is having his first game in a Toronto Maple Leafs uniform of the preseason without Morgan Rielly in the lineup since he played last night. I think Klingberg's going to get the opportunity to quarterback that power play unit 1 with Matthews and Marner and all those guys. I think if they get a chance to get this power play out tonight, I think it's definitely going to convert.
Yeah, we've seen Klingberg over his entire career. He's just an incredible quarterback, especially on this power play. He has a great shot. He can move the puck well. He's just fluent. He's just offensively just incredibly gifted. And overall, I kind of do like this. I know last year the Leafs had one of the best power plays in the league. We've seen them just be so dominant in this situation. But sometimes you'd see the top unit kind of go on this stale run. Things weren't working too well. And then they're like, ah, shit, we got to put out our second pairing. And the second power play unit did look good at times, but sometimes they get in this kind of stale situation where neither ones could score. And I don't mind just kind of testing the waters on moving Rielly down, just let him develop the second unit. Put this guy like Klingberg, get his game going. Over the past couple of years, especially last year with the Ducks, he did struggle bad. The Ducks were one of the worst defensive teams we've ever seen, especially in the past 10 years. But Klingberg overall, I think he's going to work perfect on this unit. I think he's a guy that could put up sneakily 50 points this season, especially running this top unit with so much talent. And just overall, I think he's a big boost for this team, not just for the passing, but just that shot from the point. And I know the coaches have said they want to create chaos on the power play. And I think this guy just hammering it from the point can really create this with guys just dropping in, just closing just in the crease and just causing mayhem.
Yeah, I definitely had to agree with you there. Obviously, this guy has such a booming slap shot. I think it's going to be great for Toronto. I think if he takes over that kind of role of the power play one defenseman, I think we could see Riley obviously will move down to the unit too, but he will get more penalty killing minutes. And I think last night in the game we discussed shortly that Riley looked really good on the penalty kill, and I think this might be the best option for the Leafs going into this season. I think Riley would be good to kill the penalties, and if Klingberg plays well up there on that power play unit one, I think this is kind of what we're going to see.
Yeah, the big thing too is Riley is a guy you can trust in the defensive zone. You can trust him on offense. You trust him more on offense than defense, but overall, he's your two-way guy. He's just a workhorse of this team. He's our best defensive, just best defenseman overall. And Klingberg's this type of guy where you don't want to put him out against really high competition. He can do it. He's proven he can do it. But overall, when you bring a guy like this in, he's going to be like catered towards your offense. So if you just take him, you play him a ton of minutes on the power play, get him a bunch of ozone starts. I think it works perfect for him. He gets to work with what he does best. And overall, I think it just benefits the Leafs. It helps Riley get a couple less minutes. He can play more 5-on-5, more defensive zone starts, and just overall, I think this is going to work perfect having both of them.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you. I think once Klingberg kind of develops this chemistry within the team, I think he's going to have a great year. I wouldn't be surprised for him to get 50 at all, maybe even 60, if he's on that power play unit one. I think this power play is going to be one of the best in the league, and I'm just excited to see it going into the season, but especially tonight, we're going to get our first kind of look at it against kind of a depleted Ottawa Senators team, so it should be a fun team to watch tonight, a fun game to watch tonight. But we're going to get into our next topic here, which is obviously everybody's favorite comment of the day, and the comment of the day today goes to Robinson. He says, not worried at all, slow-moving game, just remembering how to play hockey again. Good game, though. That Sens guy has a hell of a shot. And, of course, he's talking about Tim Stützle. He had a couple of great rockets last night. But, like he said, there's no reason to be worried. The season hasn't started yet. They're still, mixing up the lines, jumbling it all together. I think we're definitely going to have an ironed-out lineup towards the end of this preseason, and we're just excited to get Leafs hockey going again.
Yeah, that's the big thing. With preseason, sorry. It's just a matter of just testing things. You're going to see a lot of guys just kind of shuffle throughout the lineup. We're going to see a lot of AHL guys, a lot of fringe guys. And it's just to get this development, just to chemistry, figuring out where things work. And there's no reason to panic at all. Obviously, if the Leafs lost 10-0, don't want to take shots at Canucks fans, but I mean, that happened last night. Then you worry a tiny bit. But when you look at the situation, it's just a preseason game. Everyone's getting their footing in. It's the first hockey of the season, and just sit back, enjoy hockey's back on.
Yeah, best thing to happen to best thing to happen to Calgary since the Gilnla days. I think Calgary fans are a bit excited here now. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to go down below, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Like we said, we're 35 subscribers away from hitting our goal of 1,000. So please go down, hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. And the main thing here, the takeaway from this video, is hockey's back. Hockey is back. We're all excited. We're all pumped up for this season. And if you're a big NHL fan like me and Mark, go down, hit that subscribe button. Stick with us throughout the years. We really appreciate it. But I've been KC alongside my co-host, Mark Pye. Keep your stick on the ice.